friends, it's Terry Gaines. In this tutorial, I'm going to share Easter cards created with the Excellent Eggs bundle. This bundle is available in Stampin' Up's January through April mini catalog. The stamp set has 7 stamps. 4 of them are sentiments and 3 of them are images. The dies have 8 different dies. The dies will cut out these 2 Easter eggs in the bunnies along with some creative dies. I'm going to be using several of these dies in the tutorial for the Easter cards. The designer series paper I'm going to use for this project is the Lighter Than Air designer series paper. It's 6 by 6 in size. You get 6 different prints. They're double-sided. They're absolutely perfect for Easter cards. And in each packet, you're going to receive 48 sheets, 8 each of the 6 different double-sided prints. These designer series papers coordinate with these 8 different exclusive Stampin' Up colors. What I love about this is 6 of those colors are available in Stampin' Up's subtle assorted cardstock packet. You get 2 each of the 10 different colors, and these will work perfect for these Easter cards. So I'm going to use the colors in the Subtles Assorted 8.5 by 11 cardstock packet. And as I mentioned, these 6 colors are available in the Subtle packet. So that's perfect to get the assorted package. I'm going to provide the measurements, and I also have a free PDF that's available on my blog. If you like my free PDFs, I would love to have you like, share, and watch my videos. I appreciate that. There's going to be 3 different cards, cards 1, 2, and 3, plus a bonus card that you can create with the designer series paper and the assorted cardstock. I'm just going to grab one of the 6 by 6 papers. In my PDF, I also have a cutting guide to assist you in creating or cutting the designer series paper. And I have notations on this guide. The number 1 in a circle means that's the first cut that I make. The number 2 is the second cut, and the number 3 is the third cut. So for each of the cards, the designer series paper for card number 1, 2, and 3, it is 3.5 by 4 3/4. So I'm going to just put the contrast color. So as I mentioned, I made this cut first. Then I made this cut. So this is extra to use for embellishments or another card. And then this piece is extra, but I'm using it for a bonus card. So I actually have 4 different designs to share with you. So that's how you would cut the designer series paper. The card base is 8.5 by 5.5. It is scored and folded at 4 1/4. I have that done. I'm using basic white for all my card bases. I have a colored cardstock layer that is 3 3/4 by 5. You can get 4 of these out of your 8.5 by 11. If you get the assorted package of cardstock, that's going to be 8. Keep all of your scrap pieces that you cut off because that's going to be used for embellishing the card and decorating. The basic white layer is 3 5/8 by 4 7/8, and also keep those scrap pieces for embellishments and for the sentiments. So let's go back to this. So we have these layers. That's going to be the layout for cards 1, 2, and 3. And you get to pick what designer series paper you want, what color cardstock you want, and the tough decision is going to be what side of the papers you use for your projects. Now, before I start the assembly, I want to let you know that I have a lot of the prep work done. My goal in this video is to give you all the details so you can recreate these cards. You can copy exactly what I did, or you can make your own creative inspiration from this idea. So before I start the assembly, these 2 layers are going to be sandwiched between the designer series paper and the card base. This is what I'm going to use to cut out the Easter eggs, the different things to embellish the card. So for this cardstock, whatever color you pick, I'm going to cut out the largest Easter egg and cut that out. So I've done that ahead of time. And then what I did was I texturized it with one of the basic 3D folders. I'm using all three of these folders. You get the polka dots, the crosshatch, and then like a floral design. So I used the floral design. So I did that work ahead of time. So I cut it out with my die cutting machine and then texturized this part afterwards. So I'm going to set that aside. For the basic white layer, I actually punched two of the Easter bunnies out of here. So I have, this card design only needs one. So I'm going to use one for this card and keep this one for the bonus card. So let's just set that aside. This designer series paper and this is for the bonus card. We like to maximize all of our products. So let's replace this one with this one. So as I mentioned, because these are going to be sandwiched in here, we want to maximize that. So I'm going to bring in my silicone craft mat. I'm going to set this aside. I'm going to bring in my double-sided adhesive. And what I like to do is I like to adhere the smallest layer first. So I'm going to put my adhesive on this side and then use a silicone craft mat because I have some cutouts here, then it doesn't adhere to my work surface. I'm going to look at opposite corners, and when I look at opposite corners I can look at both sides and get that alignment. Then I'm going to put my adhesive on the back of this layer, and I like to rotate my cardstock when I put adhesive on the corners, and the silicone craft mat doesn't like it. Let it slide a little bit. So now I'm going to look at opposite corners again and put that on. Then I'm going to move this out of the way. As I mentioned, I like to rotate this. Oops. And a silicone craft mat, I love working with it, but it doesn't let me twist the paper. So now what I'm going to do is look at opposite corners again, look for equal spacing on all four sides, and adhere this piece down. So for my first card, I have this adhered. I'm going to attach the Easter egg right on top like this, kind of a decorative. And this is where I mentioned you get to decide which side of the designer series paper you want to use. I'm going to place it here. I have the Easter bunny already attached with, or dimensionals already attached to the back to save some video time. So I'm going to use my take your pick tool and get all the backings off. And there, I like cutting those edges in half and just using a half of one on that the ear. I'm going to place this down. Now I did stamp the sentiment ahead of time. I told you to save all your scrap pieces from cutting out the layers because you can use those for the sentiments. I'm using basic gray. That's a neutral color that I can stamp all my sentiments with. I have this at 2.5 by 3/4 of an inch. I'm going to bring in the Banner's Pick-a-Punch. I'm going to turn this upside down, place it in here. Then I'm going to turn this upside down. I like to look at the back. I can tell that I have it flush to the edge and then I have equal spacing, and I'm punching that out. Now what I'm going to do is attach this with dimensionals, and I'm going to put 3 dimensionals on here. You might be able to just do 2, but I'm going to do 3, and that's a personal decision. So we got 3 dimensionals. Use my take your pick tool to get the backings off. Now I'm going to put this flush to the edge here and across like so. Now I also told you to save these pieces because you can use these to add some decoration for the Easter bunny. So you can punch a flower and put that on and add an embellishment. These are called the rainbow adhesive back dots. They coordinate with all the subtle colors. So this is perfect embellishments for the Easter cards. Or you can use some of the baker's twine. This is the baker's twine 3-color combo pack. I'm going to use this balmy blue. I already tied a ribbon on it. I actually like, or a bow on it. I like to tie my bows while on the spool. That way, when I tie it, I have less waste. And let's see, I'm going to use my Take Your Pick tool to push that mini glue dot behind the knot. And I should have snipped it off first, but that's okay. So I've got my bow attached here, and let's bring up paper snips in. You can trim that. Goodness, there we go. So now that's one option, or it could have the flower there. So let me show you a couple other cards that I created. This one's using the other side of that designer series paper, and I used the bubble bath color, and this one I put the flower on here. And with these strips, you can bring in your flower punch. This is the Petal Park Builder Punch, and you can punch out just that little flower. And it works perfect for these pieces. Here's one with the Lemon Lolly, and here's one with the Petal Pink. So these are use the very same layout. The only thing different is how I embellish the card. So that's card number one. Card number two, I have a lot of the work prepped, the prep work done already. I've already cut out the embellishments for the inside layers. I'm using fresh freesia for my color. I cut out this egg. Now I don't need this egg for this project, so I'm saving that for the bonus cards. So I'll show you those in a moment. I have two of the die cut eggs cut out from the basic white, these two. Now to cut this third one out, I had to use a different piece of basic white, and that's okay. You get 40 sheets in the packet. I have my sentiment already cut and ready, and I texturized these three with one each of those basic 3D folders. So I have that work done ahead of time. Now the other thing I did ahead of time, with these dies, you get some dies that will cut the eggs. So you can cut it in a zigzag, you can cut a scalp, and you can cut just a slight angle. So what I did was I took this scalped die and I placed it on my designer series paper. That's about 1.25 inches up, and I cut this out. So it just created this slit in this designer series paper. Now what I'm going to do is attach that. So I'm going to bring in my silicone craft mat again. And now when I put my adhesive on this piece of designer series paper, I'm going to make sure that, oops, I do not put any adhesive down here because I'm going to be tucking those eggs in from the other side. I'm going to use my silicone craft mat, put this one down. And as I mentioned, this is a great way to maximize your layers and get the most out of your cardstock and the most out of your designer series paper by creating one card and then having another section for your bonus card. So now that I have that adhesive on, I'm going to put my adhesive on here, put it on this layer, watch for opposite corners. And then I'm going to just slip this out of the way, put my adhesive on. Now put this on my card base and look at opposite corners for equal spacing and place that in like that. So now I have this little pocket here. I'm going to place these 3 eggs in there. I'm going to start out with the largest one. I'm going to put my adhesive on the back. I'm going to tuck this in the pocket and tilt it a little bit to this direction. Then I'm going to take the middle egg, put adhesive on the back of that, and tuck that in this direction and just have them tilt a little bit. The small one, I put dimensionals on the back to give it some dimension, and I'll take the backings off of those. I'm going to tuck this one in the center and just have it tilt a little bit that way. Now what you can do is you can add a floral piece here. You can add a bow here. For the sentiment, I'm going to put that in the same location I did the previous one. I'm choosing to place it right here. And here's a couple more samples. I'll show you what I did with these. This one, I added a bow with the baker's twine. This one, I added a bow also. This one I left blank. Oh, and this one I just had the flower here. No, it's for the next project. You could put a little flower here or leave it blank. So these are some other samples using different designer series paper and the same concept. So that's card number 2. So now we have card number 3, and this one is, I'm going to bring all of this in here. We have our card base. We have our cardstock layer that we cut the egg out of. Now this egg is a bonus egg. So we're going to put that on this pile because that can be for a bonus card. I cut the large egg out of both of those layers, and then we have this. But I also want to tell you that if you want to use the large flower, your scrap pieces aren't wide enough for that. If you want to use a large flower, then you can cut it out of the inside layer here or use another piece of cardstock. So I'm going to set that aside. And keeping in mind that card number 2, we had a bonus egg too. So that's a way you can get your bonus egg or the egg for the bonus card. So I'm not going to adhere these because you guys know how I've done that in the past. I texturized the large egg with the polka dot of the basic 3s. I took a strip of the basic white cardstock that I had left over. I cut it 3/4 of an inch, stamped my sentiment, layered it on a 1-inch colored cardstock. Then what I did is I took the large die and I cut this out with the large die, and I got this. Now I can take this, put my adhesive on the back of this, and put this, and you just line it up to where it was. Then I can adhere that to my card base, and then I can attach a flower, and then I have another card. So this would be card number 3, and here's some additional samples that I created using the different designer series papers and the different colors. So that's card number 3. And so I already shared about the embellishments. So I put these embellishments on there. So bonus card, we have a bonus card. So all these pieces that you have left over, you can take this piece and you can cut this down to be 5 1/4. And I have that shown on my diagram. Cut that to be 5 1/4. And then you can layer these onto your card bases. You'll have the bonus egg. You'll have I'm calling it a bonus egg because it's for the bonus card. And then you have the bunny, and then you can create some more sentiments. So this is a way to utilize that extra designer series paper and create an additional card. So with all of these supplies, I have 4 different designs here. As I mentioned, I have a PDF that you can download. It will have the measurements. It will have the supplies that I used, and it will have a link back to this video so you can download the PDF, save it, and then you can click on the video to rewatch it to get any of the tips that I've shared with you. I hope you enjoy my videos and my tutorials. I would love to have you subscribe to my YouTube channel, and if you appreciate free PDFs, please like and share. Take care and happy creating.